All right, everybody. Today is a happy fucking day. A fantastic day. Because for about a year now, I have gone from being a fan of this content creator to very quickly falling off of his content, unsubscribing, unfollowing him, and just generally being disgusted by everything that he stands for nowadays. I like that verses. I like that one. That's good. That's a good message. We're talking about Asmongold. Good reference to Azeroth there. You see, Asmongold was, back in the day, I would argue, the best WoW content creator. There were definitely people out there making higher quality content than Asmongold, but as far as, like, a content creator who sort of personified the vibe of WoW, I really don't think anyone beats Asmongold for me. Like, when I sat down, especially to grind in WoW Classic, I really couldn't think of anyone better, like, anyone else better to put on than, like, Asmongold. His just whole aesthetic, his, everything about him just really, sort of played well into the vibe that WoW has, right? Thing is, though, a big part of that is the fact that he's kind of like the stereotypically disgusting slob of a human being who's let their entire life waste away playing nothing but video games and just, like, falling apart. Obviously, the most famous example of it being, like, the Asmongold's Lair video where we see his room. But recently, this Twitter post has been going around. When I was 12 or 13, I broke the light in my bedroom when my friends and I were being animals. Ever since then, I've just used a lamp because we were too poor to afford to have it fixed. Finally got that shit fixed today after almost 15 years. And here's a picture of his, not streaming room, his bedroom. And you can see there's something going on with that wall over there. Something kind of gross going on, among other things. This is the most clean room in his entire house, by the way. There's also something going on at the bottom of that, blanket I don't even want to think about. This is the cleanest room in his house, by the way. But if we go and we look at one of the replies asks, "What is that on the wall?" He replies, "It's dried blood from when my teeth would bleed overnight. I just wipe it on the wall when I woke up so I didn't have to get out of bed." That is the level of does not take care of himself this guy is on, okay? And to be honest, part of this was seen as kind of an appeal of his, because while he is, like, possibly the biggest fail son on Earth insofar as his real life, he was also a pretty likable guy. He was humble, he was generally non-judgmental, entertaining, and just an overall chill dude who tried to avoid getting on anybody's bad side, and tended to have pretty level-headed, reasonable positions on most issues. That was Asmongold for many years. However, about a year ago, maybe a little more, things started to change. Asmongold started to get a lot more shameless with his content. I feel like it really started when he did this, like, non-stop coverage of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp defamation trial. I guess the funniest part of all of it was the way that all of his fans were talking about this court case, like Johnny Depp was on trial for, like, legal charges, like he could go to jail, when what was happening was he was suing Amber Heard in a country with like more harsh standards for what is considered libel or defamation to try to make Amber Heard owe him money. Like that was the actual court case happening there, not a criminal trial against Johnny Depp. Like just that fact alone, that him and so many of his fans were operating like that was the case. Like Johnny Depp was fighting for his life here or something, or is like very, very weird trend in his content started there. And I started to watch him a lot less, especially because even in his gaming content, things started to get worse. He'd stopped playing WoW to jump on this big anti-WoW bandwagon that started around this, like, end of BFA, beginning of Shadowlands. He just decided to quit WoW and, like, even quit Classic WoW and stop playing and streaming it as much. So, like, the main thing I went to him for just kind of stopped. Apparently he's recently resumed it again, but, like, I watch him play WoW nowadays, and he's shit-talking it the entire time. Like, he's not chill and fun to watch play WoW. He's just endlessly critiquing it at every turn and finding ways to shit-talk it in ways that are not even congruent with the rest of the community that is also pretty negative towards the game. Like, he's going, like, over, like, above and beyond to try to shit-talk the game. And that also made me kind of, like, move away from his content. But what really, more recently, started to make me, like, just decide to give up on him was when he would start shit-talking a video game, talking about how it is the scourge of the gaming industry, and then he'd start streaming it and dropping thousands of dollars on said game. A good example is the new Diablo game, Diablo Immortal. Or not Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal. He streamed that, and he, like, ended up spending, like, 15 grand or something on it after and during, while playing the game, ranting about how the game is, like, the scourge of the gaming industry. Yeah, he was trying to max out his gear in the game. He wanted to see how, quote-unquote, he was experimenting because he can afford to, how much it costs to max out your character in the game. So totally not just wailing out on the game, just experimenting and exposing how much of a scam these games are. Once he started doing that and trying to act like his wailing out on gacha games was actually doing some kind of service for gaming, like, viewers, it really made me fall off of his content. But what really surprised me, I never expected him to drop this low, was when a couple months ago, or honestly, not even a couple months ago, just a few weeks ago, he started this weird trend of content. You see, I've watched Asmongold for a long time, and one of the things that was always true of Asmongold, up until, like, a month ago, was that he hated anime. That even if a game slightly resembled anime, he would refuse to play it or touch it. FF14 being a good example. For a long time, Asmongold refused to touch anything that was even remotely anime-like, and his fans were very much on his side with that. But as he started to get into the gacha game content, he started to get into games like Genshin Impact, into, like, just, like, the anime gacha game community. As he started to bring those people in, he started to get more and more fans that didn't really appreciate his disregarding of anime. In fact, he started to get more fans that were outright anime, like, fiends, like weeaboos. And so, he started this trend of videos about how woke translators for anime are out of control. Here's just a couple examples of these videos. And we're actually going to watch this one really quick, because the person he's reacting to is an old,
hey, what's up, guys?
Not friend of the show. This is Rev Says Desu that he's reacting to here. Asmongold has been boosting the fuck out of Rev Says Desu for a few weeks now by reacting to his videos defending him. You see, Asmongold, for about 6 months now, has been nonstop reacting to chud anti-woke YouTubers that make videos dick-riding him. So if you make a video dick-riding Asmongold, he will boost you like crazy. And one of the people he's been boosting is this guy. Now, isn't Rev a pedo? He is, in fact, a pedo. Now, obviously, if you look up Rev Says Desu on Google Images, thankfully the first 3 rows are safe for work, so we're good. But if you look it up on Google Images, you can see, I mean, this is literally his official Patreon thing, you know, like this, his VTuber avatar is like a little girl. This is his Twitter profile picture. He's also tweeted and made multiple videos and streams in the past about how Lolicon is good. He defends Lolicon. He believes that jacking off to drawings of kids is not immoral or pedophilia. So yeah, it's just like, if you want to argue that jacking off in a vacuum only to drawings of Lolly is not causing any moral harm to the world in a physical, tangible way, you can make that argument, and whether or not it's right or wrong, I genuinely don't know. I would err to say, like, in your hypothetical there, it could be a non-harmful to the world act in a vacuum. The problem is, we all know how these people really behave, and the fact that these lolicons are basically trying to use the idea that it's just drawings to normalize their paraphilia, especially online. Rev Says Desu is like ballooned in popularity as of late, and it's actually gotten to the point where his community of Lolicon fans will absolutely dogpile the shit out of you if you like call him out. And so Asmongold has been boosting this guy pretty hardcore lately because of a drama having to do with anime localization. You see, when an anime is originally produced, it's generally, not always, but most animes are written, storyboarded, and animated, and then voice acted in Japan. Even the most popular, even the animes that are very popular in the States are done so in Japan. And so the job of a localizer is to, A, take the original media and transform it in such a way to be more understandable to audiences outside of Japan, usually Japan, when we're talking about anime, right? Although I will say it's become quite common as of late for China to put out media that is like basically like you'd look at it and you'd say, is that just anime? Is that like from Japan? But it's like from China and not Japan. I know that one of the big examples of this is it Genshin Impact? Like, Genshin Impact is an anime game. Like, the characters are anime characters, but it's made in China. So, like, generally it's Japan, though. Generally, we're talking about Japan here. Not always. Sometimes it could be something like Genshin, which is Chinese, but generally with this anime stuff, it's Japan. And usually the job of a localizer is to, A, take the Japanese lines and translate them into English subtitles, and like so people can watch it subtitled in English or whatever language, not always English, sometimes other languages too, right? Or if it's a dub, to write the scripts for the English dub or whatever language is dubbed to go over. And the localization isn't just translating, the localization is also changing certain lines to make sense to an American audience. For example, this is very common. There might be certain cultural phrases or sayings that are so local to Japan that, like, outside of Japan, no one would fucking get what the line is saying, right? Like, idioms, for example, in Japanese might have completely different meanings or make absolutely zero sense outside of English or outside of Japan. And so they might change it to a synonymous idiom that isn't exactly the same. They might change a word to mean something that means something else. They might even just change an entire line to mean basically the same thing, but to have or to even just have the same impact, but to not be the same thing because an English audience or insert whatever audience wouldn't get it, right? There's also been examples of localization literally being national censorship. So, for example, for a long time in Japan, and this is a big reason why the far right is so big on anime, as we have seen, like Rev Says Desu is like a Nazi. A big reason why Nazis and far right people online are so big on like Japan and anime, or at least they were up until recently, is that pedophilia, especially drawn pedophilia, was much more normalized and legal in Japan. And so, like, you would get pieces of media from Japan that just have full-on, like, what we in America would just say, that is child porn in it. They would get censored coming to America or to wherever with localization and censorship laws complying with them. You know, now you've got conservatives losing their shit about that. So Asmongold basically started a long string of content shitting on this one specific anime localizer named Jamie Marchi. And the combination of Rev Says Desu's Lolicon audience, Asmongold's now, like, super chuddy, cringe audience, they all ended up going after this Jamie Marchi woman and attacking her. One of the videos that I saw being made by, like, a chud jumping onto the Asmongold bandwagon was, quote-unquote, Jamie Marchi is the Amber Heard of anime localizers. Quite the video title, if I've ever seen one. But she ended up making a response to Asmongold's, like, call-outs of her, and I think it's probably worth a watch. It's on Instagram, so can I even full screen this? I can't. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to play the audio and we can listen to it. Who cares?
Recently, some followers of Asmongold have been criticizing me and demanding answers regarding a line I wrote in 2017 and the answer I gave to a question at a panel a year or two later. If you don't know who Asmongold is, he is a streamer with well over 2 million followers. Now, since Asmongold was gracious enough to respond to the criticism and the demands for answers he's been receiving regarding his involvement with soft giving and their controversy, I thought it's only fair that I respond to his followers in kind. Well, who gives a shit? Somebody makes an allegation against me and now somehow I have to respond to it? No, I don't have to say anything.
I think she's quoting Asmongold. I'm almost certain the bit she's just based on the quote and the way it's worded, what I think she's doing here is like a troll. She's responding to Asmongold's fans with a quote from Asmongold responding to criticism. I'm pretty sure it's what she's doing here. I'm almost certain that's what she's doing. That sounds like how Asmongold responds to criticism. She said she was, Zan? Oh, I didn't hear her say that. I'm sorry. The volume was so loud I could barely hear her in that first bit of the video.
Who gives a fuck? Thank you for your time.
Okay, so she was? Okay, that's funny. I'm sorry. I literally didn't hear her say that. But yeah, like, this lady is just a woman who works for a company, and her job is to localize anime. The right has lost their shit at her. I don't even know or care what specifically it is they've gotten mad at, but the response to it has been sending her death threats and allying with, like, internet pedophiles to attack her. So I'm going to hazard to say the people going after her
was made with
are probably completely in the wrong. So, with that in mind, this accumulation of things, as well as many others, has led me to have a very negative opinion of Asmongold. And unfortunately, he has remained still very beloved and well-known online. However, recently, I've seen a big switch. The last couple days, we've seen people flip on this. On the 23rd of January, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to stream, like, when this was fresh news, a big tweet dropped, simply captioned actual brain dead, and it got 44,000 likes with tons of pretty big people, well-known people. I see the Sphere Hunter is one of the top replies. In the replies, just absolutely shitting on Asmongold for how dumb of a take this is. It feels like everyone is finally catching up and realizing Asmongold is, or has quickly become, one of the worst content creators on the internet in a very short period of time. And I hate to say this as someone who once really liked his content, but he has fallen off hard. And I say that, I don't mean numbers or stats. I think he's doing better than ever right now. He has fallen off on a moral level, on a quality level, in every way possible. Other than stats, he has fallen off. But this is the clip that has gotten him the ire of a lot of people. This is following his statements on whether... This is him responding to the Pal World drama. I've got a segment coming out about that, or it's already come out. You can watch it if you want. Basically, any claims you've heard about Pal World using AI to generate its assets, or doing theft, like stealing models or flipping assets or anything, all completely false, all completely debunked claims that have been proven lies. The evidence used to support those claims proven manipulated and like lies. Like, I don't like the game or care about the game, but the hatred for it, at least the hatred for it that is being substantiated with claims that the game is somehow, like, engaging in a moral wrong, there's no water being held by that, it holds no water. The arguments hold no water. However, Asmongold doesn't really do research, and so his position was, who cares? It's successful because people don't care what artists think, is basically his take. Let's watch. Let's see why Asmongold is finally getting canceled. Honestly, way later than he should have been.
To expect me to draw a moral line, I have to perceive a difference that I consider substantial. And I do not consider the difference substantial. Do you guys? No. Right. No. And that's really what matters. If it was made with AI, I'm completely okay with that because it was fun.
The evidence is that
it doesn't matter. Nobody really cares
the
about
lead
this.
developer has been very positive about
So-
AI in the past.
Asmongold's politics and his positions on everything is exactly this. Besides issues like woke translators or localizers or like diversity in games nowadays, which he's basically like gone down the quartering no bullshit anti-woke route with, unless it's something like that, some culture war issue he can monetize, his position is nobody cares. And not just that, but that nobody should care. His chat was whining about globalists. Yes, like he is massively brought in like the Rev Says Desu, like anime VTuber lolicon Nazi sphere. Like the anime right-wing sphere has like heavily fallen into Asmongold's fan base. So like, yeah, no shit, he's gonna have a ton of people in the chat spamming like globalists and Jews and stuff like that. There was a time when Asmongold was one of the few big streamers on Twitch that banned the tryhard emote because his chat would be racist with it. Every Twitch chat that wasn't explicitly left-wing back in the day, if there was ever a black person on screen or a crime being committed, notably theft, or a, God forbid, if they were really racist about it, like XQC's chat, if there was any type of primate on screen, like a gorilla or like a monkey or whatever, they would spam the tryhard emote, which is, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, because Twitch removed this emote because of this problem a long time ago, the tryhard emote is an emote of the streamer Tryhex's face. It's literally just Tryhex's face. And if we have tryhard in the chat. Yeah, literally just Tryhex's face. Now, if you haven't noticed, Tryhex is black. So basically what edgy Twitch chatters decided to do was transform the Tryhex emote into like the emote you spam when there's a black person or when there's something that people racistly associate with black people. So it was just a racist meme to spam the tryhard emote on Twitch. It was common in XQC's chat. It was common in Trainwrex's chat. Think of a popular Twitch streamer. It was common in their chat besides like very few. Like maybe Pokimane didn't have that problem, I'm sure. But like Asmongold was one of the few big Twitch streamers in that sphere back then who outright banned the emote from his chat because he recognized people were using it in a racist way. Back when like the response he would get to that was, "What do you mean people are being racist about it?" And Asmongold would reply like, "Really? Do you really think anybody falls for that? Like you think anybody like is falling for like the playing dumb there?" Like Asmongold actually used to not only be based on certain topics, but to actually be willing to stand like his ground and like keep to his guns in places where very few other clouded up content creators like him were willing to. I wonder what changed. Well, as much as I don't want to talk about this like in a way to criticize him because it feels so poor taste, he did experience a pretty substantial loss in his family. That pretty much directly, like all of this directly followed pretty much. And there is a undeniable statistical and psychological consensus that radicalization very commonly follows recent death of a family member or loss of a loved one just generally. So it is possible that that played some part because this change from like relatively reasonable like gamer slob centrist to where he is now is stark. He was not like this 2 years ago or even a year and a half ago.
And made an AI game.
We're gonna play
called
this, by the way.
AI Art Imposter that lets an AI artist draw a picture. And so that was like one of the games.
We're gonna be playing this week.
Yes, just generally has been much more positive about some of the benefits of AI rather than what is the normal sentiment amongst artists and you know, I guess general Twitter population, which is that you know AI is bad and it takes jobs from people.
Well, AI and the sentiment from artists opinions don't matter. It just doesn't matter because what matters is the opinion of the people that are buying the product.
So What I need you to understand is that Asmongold doesn't actually believe this. What I need you all to understand is that everything Asmongold says in these clips that are being posted on Twitter, he doesn't believe anything that he's saying in those clips. And I'm not saying this to defend him. Like, he's playing some 4D chess to try to, like, do some, like, clever move or something. No, I mean that Asmongold does not have any positions. And he really, for a long time, like, as long as I've watched him, never has. Back in the day, Asmongold would be honest about the fact that he doesn't really care about much in the realm of politics. He finds it entertaining sometimes, but he doesn't even vote, and it's just not something that concerns him. Nowadays, he tries to have his cake and eat it too. He has tried to pull in the anti-woke crowd and, like, ride on the coattails of, like, right-wing anti-woke politics stuff and the culture war issues that he's, like, vaguely involved in with the gaming community, while also taking the no one cares position. Obviously, what he's saying right now is false. The idea that no one cares what artists think. The fact that we had, like, the big SAG-AFTRA strikes that were, like, national news for over a month because writers and actors were striking for better terms on their working conditions and their contracts and whatnot, and because of AI being a big part of the negotiations for those contracts. Like, obviously, people really do care about the morality or the moral character of those that create their media, who are behind the funding of their media, the morality of how their media is made, how the products they consume are made. It's just a matter of whether or not they're informed on it. What Asmongold is truly against here is people making a big deal about the immoral ways in which certain products might be made. If he wanted to make an actual coherent argument here, he could say, what actually matters for a game's financial success is whether or not the consumers think the game will be fun and enjoyable, and whether or not other people, like their friends, think that as well and are acting as an extra pull to get into that game. It's not always that you think, oh, this game looks exciting or cool. Sometimes you also need some friends to get into it and to make you hop on with them, you know? Like, I'll get into Discord one day and all my friends are, like, on a new game and it's like, I don't want to buy a new game. What are you guys playing? And it's like, oh, it's called Lethal Company. It's really good. And I'm like, I don't want to play it. And, like, 2 days later, like, the you know, idea that the game looks good and the fact that all my friends are on it ends up making me buy the game and get into it, right? That is also a big part of it too. Asmongold could have made an actual argument here that there are many cases in which, like, immoral practices are, like, gotten away with in the gaming industry all the time, but instead he had to turn it into this, like, no one cares argument. Because right now Asmongold is trying to enforce brain-dead centrism on everything. It's not just the idea that you shouldn't care. It's the idea that no one cares, and if you do care, you are an outlier who is just begging to be called out and made fun of. So you better get on board and stop caring about making anything better or the morality of anything's production. Like, it's pretty much South Park politics to the max, right? I mean, if you want an idea of, like, here's the starting screen that Asmongold had for... Are you serious? When Asmongold streamed WoW Classic on day one of its launch, when they released World of Warcraft Classic and he was doing his starting soon screen, this was his starting soon screen. This is, I think this is McConnell, this is S-Fan, this is Soda Poppin', and this is Asmongold. South Parkified, like from the South Park episode, or the WoW episode of South Park. No, yeah, like, obviously, Asmongold grew up on South Park, you know, like that type of humor. Something that I've also noticed is that this is also a bit of a generational divide, too. A lot of Gen X, like, back in the day, young Gen X people... The idea, what it was to be counterculture or cool, was to not give a fuck about anything and to be super nihilistic. that is very much not the case for younger generations, where like the cool hip thing to do is to be actually quite caring about the world. It's not old. Well, it's old millennials and Gen X. Yeah. And so, yeah, this like South Park politics is actually pretty popular with Gen X and older millennials.
Like, it doesn't, like, your opinion on it, like, just because you do it doesn't, like, nobody cares. Like, it's not relevant. It's like whenever one of these, like, you know, really well-respected and really respectable directors talks about how bad Marvel is. Shut up, old man.
Dude, the entire internet right now is hating on Marvel. Whenever, who was it? That one director, was it like Martin Scorsese or something? Like shit-talked, like, I don't know directors or anything, but I think I got that right. Like, he shit-talked Marvel and said it's not, like, true art. And, like, the argument he's making there holds some pretty good water. Like, they're pretty, like... I think the MCU... Like, when they say Marvel, they probably mean the MCU. I know it's more complicated than that, because, like, there's, like, ownership split, and, like, there's... Like, not every Marvel movie is made by the same studio, so you might see, like, an X-Men movie and say, oh, that's shit. The MCU sucks, and be like, well, that wasn't an MCU movie, right? But generally, they mean the MCU. The MCU, on average, you're not going to sit down and watch an MCU movie or project and be bored. Like, it's very rare you're going to sit down and be bored and, like, tuning out and not giving a fuck. Like, it's generally going to be good enough content that you're going to be able to watch at the worst. Like, there's, like, I think The Incredible Hulk is, like, the only MCU movie that is, like, a bad movie, in my opinion, and that it just can't hold my attention. Besides that, like, it's just solid. That is the worst it gets insofar as the enjoyment of watching the movies. But as far as, like, the art that goes into it, it's not so much that these movies are... Rare Zanel? Sure. It's not so much that the MCU is... like, artless or lacking in any creativity. It definitely has creativity. There are people working on these projects that are putting in love and care and work, for sure. You can tell if you actually, like, aren't looking at it with this, like, nihilistic, like, fuck this kind of lens. The problem is, when you have to keep up with the type of release schedule they do, you're not going to end up... Like, every movie isn't going to be an Oppenheimer, right? Like, every movie isn't going to be, like, Oscar bait when you're putting out 2 movies and a show every year to keep, like, a franchise going. You hope for, like, entertaining, good, keeping you, like, in your seat and watching, like, level entertainment from that, not, like, Oscar bait from every or even any of the productions that come out. And I feel like that... I feel like that's where that criticism was coming from, right? The claim he was making is Marvel is not Oscar bait media. It is junk food media. It is a filler. You sit down, you watch some Oscar bait movie, like, I don't know, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm going to assume it's amazing. Like, that is like a big, juicy Michelin 5-star steak, okay? Like, you know, a Marvel movie is like a microwave dinner you're making for yourself so you don't starve that night and you've got something to eat. You know, it's good and you enjoy the flavor. You don't feel, like, bad about it. You don't think, oh, this is awful. But if you could eat the steak instead and you didn't have to pay for it, you would. Right? Does that make sense? I feel like that was a massive stun lock on this topic, but, like, Asmongold is making an argument that doesn't even make sense nowadays here.
Shut, like... Like, what matters is the opinion of the people that are buying the product. Like, it doesn't, like, your opinion on it, like, just because you do it doesn't...
What if the opinion of the people buying the product is that a product being made in an immoral fashion is something they don't want to support? Like with Blizzard. This guy is so he doesn't believe anything, so everything he says is contradictory. This guy was one of the biggest purveyors of the Blizzard boycott. The reason why he stopped playing WoW is because he jumped on the boycott bandwagon for Blizzard because of, like, the sexual harassment and, like, the crunch and, like, all that shit. And now he's claiming that all that matters is, like, none of that matters now. The fact is, he does not in any way act on the things he says. what he says people should do is not the practice that he does not practice that himself, ever, 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 ever. Especially his advice he gives to people, or the things he judges people about. If he saw somebody else on the internet that was exactly like him, he would criticize them for everything that is true about himself and claim the only difference is he's a successful streamer, so that means he's not a loser for living like a slob and like being a malnourished little goblin. You know? Anyway, I really could not be happier to see that people have caught up to hating on this guy. Like, I don't necessarily hate him. I certainly would rather see him turn the other direction and go back towards being based again and me be able to enjoy his content once again. But, like, that's obviously not going to happen. The monetary incentive is very clear in the direction of moving in, like, getting worse and worse. So, you know, I'm just glad to see that people are actually realizing it and calling him out, because I think Asmongold might be one of the big chud content creators in the sphere in the coming years. I think he's about to make a big heel turn in content, and this is just the beginning.